going to finish chapter 4 and then maybe hopefully finish up 5 too, because we're almost there. This piece that we're going to read now is what we read today. We're going to read tomorrow in the liturgy. Okay, so where did we stop? Where did we stop? Anybody can tell me?
1 verse 7.
7. Good job. So it says in verse 6, he speaks about the proud. Why is St. James write about the proud or being proudful or pride after he speaks about adultery? There's a reason why. First, he says in the beginning, in verse 4, adulterers and adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? He says that people who go after their lust and their bad desires, they're friends of the world and they are enemies with God. But then he goes to say they are actually proud. How is that? How is it? So he says, verse 4, adulterers and adulteresses are friends of the world and enemies. Wow. You understand this? Of God. And that gives me a lot of pain actually when I hear you talk to each other sometimes. That stuff. And you desire that to hear that stuff or see the stuff. And sometimes you show each other stuff. I am not just saying that all of you do this, but some of you will be exposed to that stuff. In that case, they are friends of the world and enemies of God. Do you want, anybody here wants to be an enemy of God? Is that something you want to be? So this has to stop and has to be get rid of immediately. If you want to show God His, because God sees everything. You're in confession. Are you telling God anything that He doesn't know?
No.
In confession? No, He sees it. All what we do is like Adam. Do you think God doesn't know that Adam had eaten from the tree? But why is He asking him to come? To make a confession and do what? Reconcile, to go back to Him and say, I'm sorry. Sometimes your parents, sometimes your abuna, your teachers, know what you have done. They don't need you to tell them. But what would they want from you? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do this again. I know that what I've done is wrong. So an adulterer and adulteresses who are seeking lust, what we said the love of the world is? Lust of the flesh, lust of the eye, and pride of life. Guess what? He's going to say, after talking about adulterers and adulteresses, he's going to say in verse 7 and verse 6, I'm sorry, but He gives more grace. Therefore he says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. What does it mean to be humble? What does it mean to be humble? It's to come to say, I'm wrong. I've done something wrong. I need forgiveness. That's humble. Like you talk to somebody who's done something wrong, and you talk to them and say, what's wrong with that? I don't think you see anything wrong with it. Why? Why do you say there's nothing wrong with it? Because I say so. He doesn't, but God said something different. But Baba said something different. Mama said something different. I don't care. I go by what I say, not about what they say. So people who go and really don't care are proud. And they go into these different problems. They're not humble. They don't want to say, I want to abide by your law. Your law is my rule. I make my own rule. So that's why the next one, he says, God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. You know what? Somebody said it, and I like it a lot. He said, God resists the proud even when they are correct, when they are right. No? Someone in the Old Testament, his name was Ahithophel. He was a counselor of David. But then when his son Absalom fought his father, wanted to kill him, Ahithophel gave advice to Absalom, to the son, said, go after your father right now and kill him before he is recovered. And Absalom was about to take that advice, but people, and David himself was asking God, oh Lord, make my son not accept his advice. And he didn't. So what did Ahithophel, the advisor, do after his counsel was turned down? You know what did he do? Because the son of David, like the new king, didn't want to listen to him, he killed himself. He went and killed himself. His advice was correct. If Absalom, his son, went after David, would have killed him that night, and he would have taken the kingdom from his father. But instead, his counsel was turned down, and Ahithophel felt so bad that he went and hanged himself. So God resists the proud, and this is what I want to remember from this chapter. I want you to remember this and keep it in mind. I'm going to write it down, and then this is what we will memorize for this chapter. God resists. What do you mean resists? What does it mean to resist? Huh?
I know, like, rejects it, doesn't really want it.
Not just reject, like say for example, you want to go through this door and get out. I'm going to stand at the door and prevent you from going out. I'm not going to let you have the way you want it. So proud, God resists the proud. He will stand in the way. He will obstruct their way, make sure that whatever they want is not going to happen. Resist the proud. But gives grace to the humble. That's very nice. So a person who is submitting and letting God make his own rules, and they want to abide by God's rules, and when they break the rule, they come back and say sorry. God gives grace. What does grace mean? In Greek, charisma. What grace means? Good gifts that nobody deserved. God gives good gifts, gives grace. Like whatever they do, it succeeds. When they want something, it happens. And if you're extremely humble, your wishes all come true. That's how God works. But if we are proud and we are not willing to listen and we are doing our own thing, nothing you think about will come to happen. And your plans will be frustrated. And your life will actually be misery upon misery upon misery upon misery. Even to the degree that the person might kill themselves. So I want you to keep that in mind. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. But gives grace to the humble. Remember that. Okay? And I added, this is not in the verse. Even when they are right. He resists the proud, even when the proud are thinking, okay, they're intelligent, they're geniuses. Somebody might say, I'm a genius, I can think very highly, I don't need the word of God, I can figure it out on my own. They might be correct, but what they'll find out is that God will resist them. Okay, next. Then he says, therefore submit to God, put down your neck under God. There's a verse that goes with this, is actually in the Old Testament. And if you want to open the Old Testament, it's in Micah. 6:8. Somebody can get that out and tell us what it says. I want you to remember that one too with it, because this is an important point. Micah 6:8. Just you want to read it for us?
Yeah.
Can I put the air conditioner on it? Come on here. Read it.
He has shown you, O man, what is good, or what does the Lord seek from you, but to do justly and to love mercy, and to be ready to walk with the Lord your God.
So 3 things. What does the Lord want from you? He's summarizing it. What? We gave the 3 things. Can you think about them? Can you say them again?
Well, he has shown you, O man, what is good, or what does the Lord seek from you, but to do justly and to love mercy, and to be ready to walk with the Lord your God.
3 things He wants from us. 3 things that God wants from us. What are they? That's the summary of the commandments. 2, love, mercy. To be merciful. Now, 2, to do
Justly.
justice, to be fair. You have to be fair. Right? And the 3rd one is walk
With the Lord.
and continue the verse.
To walk with the Lord your God.
Actually, the other translation say we walk humbly. I want to put it this way, humbly. To submit to God, to love mercy, to do justice, and walk humbly. What would the Lord require? He had shown you, O man, what's good. He has told you, O man, what's good. What does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. Okay? Now, going back to the verse, let's continue reading. Okay? Who should read? Oh, Tommy, read. Verse 7.
Therefore submit to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you.
He's adding one more thing. What does it mean to resist the devil? So God resists the proud. Who is the most proud person? The devil. We are supposed to do what? To resist the devil. He is the one that is actually going to get us away from walking humbly with God. He's the one who doesn't want us to love mercy or do justice or walk humbly. So we resist the devil. How do you know where the devil is? Show me the devil and I will kill him. I can't, nobody can kill the devil. But show me the devil. How do you show me the devil? Where is the devil? How do you see the devil? Through temptations. When you hear the voice. When you hear a voice in your head or somebody, or sometimes a little comes through from other people who will tell you things, show you things, and do things that would actually get you to stumble and fall. That's how the devil speaks. Actually, the devil can speak through the closest people to you. I'm going to talk about this in the sermon tomorrow. The closest person to you can be a tool the devil can use. Do you know who is the person that Jesus called him Satan? Raise your hand if you know. Someone, a human being, Jesus called him Satan. And that was the only person that Jesus called Satan. Yes?
For sure was Peter.
What do you think? He didn't call Judas Satan. He called Peter Satan. Why did he call Peter Satan? Because Peter at one point he said to him, I don't think you should be crucified. God forbid you should be crucified. So immediately Jesus looked at him and looked at the disciple and said, get away from me, Satan. Why? Because he wanted to obstruct salvation. If Jesus was not to be crucified, then who's going to save us? You right? So the biggest problem is, sometimes a person comes to you and says, why do you need to fast? And I love you so much. Why do you need to fast? Why do you need to stay up and in the church and do all kinds of things like this? You don't need to. And then that person seems like he is caring for you, right? He's saying, I'm gonna fast so I can attend the liturgy and take communion. Oh, it's Lent time. We're gonna be a late liturgy. Let's go and attend the liturgy. So I'm gonna need to fast and not eat anything. And your friend says, what are you doing? Man, that's crazy. You're leaving the pizza? We're all in the school eating pizza today. You're not gonna eat pizza with us? What should you say? That man loves you so much. That friend really loves you because he wants you to enjoy the pizza. What would you say?
My boy.
Huh? What would you say? Thank you? No, I would say get beyond me, Satan, because you care about what people cares about, not what God cares about. That's what Jesus said. He said that to Peter, who wanted to save him from the cross. He wanted to protect him from the cross, and Jesus said, no, I'm here because my Father said you need the cross. Okay, next, so that verse says, resist the devil. How do you resist the devil? By resisting temptation. But he says, when you resist the devil will do what? Will run away, will flee from you. The devil is a coward. If you start resisting him and you put your force to it, the devil will go away because you have the Holy Spirit. Then the next one, he says resist the devil, and then what? Draw near to God. So you resist, you mean you push away. To draw near, to bring closer. How do you draw near to God? Yes.
Fasting prayer.
Prayer, fasting, what else? Yes?
Not resisting the devil.
If you resist the devil and stay put, you're not growing near to God. You have to do something on the opposite direction. Yes?
By going to church.
Going to church, yes?
Confession.
Confession. Coming to take communion. Doing metania. But it's mainly coming from where? All these actions has to come from a place, otherwise it will be just dead action. Where should it come from? From the heart. Because you love God, you're searching for Him. Remember when I said something about people grouping to group or to grope for God? What does it mean to grope? I don't see Him. Grope is a verb. I describe who? Who groped?
A blind person.
A blind person. They go like this, groping. I'm groping for God. What does it mean to grope for God?
Searching.
Searching. Searching for God in my own daily life. I want to see Him. I want to have Him by all means. So I do whatever my heart says to do. Sometimes my heart says, let's go and pray. You don't have to go anywhere. Where are you sitting? You say, Lord, I need you. I feel a need for you. I have this hunger in my heart and I don't know how to fill it. I get bored sometimes. And I get sometimes tempted to do the bad things and I need you. Or sometimes you say, I'm going to seek God by reading the Word of God. I'm going to seek God by going to church and sitting in the holy place. I'm going to seek God by fasting. All the things that you said. Okay, but has to all come from where? From the heart, right? From love of God. You love God because there is an emptiness there that He only can fill. Next, Tommy.
Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, all ye sinners, and purify your hearts, double-minded.
Purify your heart or double-minded. Who does understand this one? What it means to purify the heart from double-mindedness. Yes. Yes.
Is it when you maybe, like, is it something that you think this is this, but then like you see something else and you're trying to change it?
Right. So you have a desire to love God, but sometimes you have another desire inside that says, let's do something different. So you have two things going against each other. So to purify is to cancel one thing and keep the other. Next.
Lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter return to mourning and your joy to gloom.
Okay. Why is that? I thought God wants us happy. Any idea? He says, lament, mourn, and weep. Three things about sadness. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Why? somebody else say something like that? Why is he asking us to do that? Lament, mourn, and weep. Did somebody else ask us to do the same thing? Or he said it's not actually bad to do it? Blessed are those who mourn for,
They shall be comforted.
because they shall be comforted. Listen to this. So can you, somebody give me an understanding of what's happening here? Jesus in the Beatitudes in Matthew 5 says, blessed are the mourners, for they shall be comforted. St. James says, lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Why? What does he mean by that? Do you think God wants us to be sad? Okay.
So you can feel like closer to God and
You're on target. Yes, anybody else wants to tell us? Why he wants our laughter to turn to sadness? What laughter? Where is this laughter coming from that he speaks about? Hmm? From the world. So people are doing bad things and they're excited about it. They're talking about bad things and they're excited about it and they make bad jokes and they laugh about it and they ha 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 ha. They're so happy with it. But James is saying, if that is how you get joyful, then it's better to be sad and wait for God to comfort you and make you happy. So that happiness that comes from the world, even if it makes me laugh, I don't want it. I prefer to be sad and wait for God. Because if you are sad, God will comfort you. The comfort that does come from within, that nobody can take from you. You have a story of St. Paul and St. Silas in a prison in Philippi. That prison today, if you go see it, you wouldn't want to go inside. It's a hole in the ground. And you go with your back bent like this. And it's dusty and most probably filled with snakes and insects and stuff because they have no place to do the bathroom. So it smells like a trench. So they were kept there that night and it's dark, there's no light. They're kept there, dark, humid, muggy, smelly, you name it, and dusty. What were they doing? What were they doing in the prison at night? They were actually singing joyfully, singing loudly, and the whole prison heard them. And they called them crazy. Why? Because the joy is not coming from the outside, it's coming from the inside. That's godly joy. That is where St. James says, don't turn off the joy from outside so that you can allow God to make you happy from the inside. The next one.
Humble yourself in the sight of the Lord.
Here we go again, right? Humble yourself. Yourselves before I'm going with the song. In the sight of the Lord, and He will lift you up. That's a song, right? Humble yourself before the Lord. Another one. Humble yourself before the Lord, and He will lift you up. Who did this? Who did this? And they got saved. Who did it? Images. I want a picture. Who did humble themselves? They were actually about to be annihilated. They were about to be annihilated, completely wiped out from the earth. And they humbled themselves really bad. And God actually turned back and saved them. Yes?
the thief on the right side of God.
That is true, but he couldn't do anything. He was, fixed on the cross. But there were people, like 3 people, a group of them, a big group, a huge group. Yes?
The Israelites.
The Israelites? When? And that's not in the history. Yes?
The people in Nineveh.
Ninevites, thank you. What did they do? They knew that there would be a judgment coming upon them. What did they do?
They
they for 3 days not eaten, and they didn't give food to their kids and their animals. That city was very loud. You know, imagine babies not eating for one meal. What happens if they don't eat for 3 days? What will happen? And the animals don't eat for 3 days. What will happen? The whole city was screaming. And the king actually went down from his throne, put his crown down, and he put on sackcloth, potato sacks, and he sat on dust. So what do you call that? He humbled themselves. They put their head down. And when God saw this, he actually lifted them up. They were about to be completely gone. So humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord. So if I give a title to this chapter, what would it be? Huh? Be humble in front of God. Be humble in front of God. Okay? Verse 11. I want this for this 2 verses for memorization. 11, Joya.
Do not speak evil of one another, brother. He who speaks evil of a brother and judges his brother speaks evil of the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge.
Why is it judging others is judging the law? What did the law say? The law of God say that actually we are breaking or actually thinking it's evil? Yes?
The law also said not judge others, and if, like, you're judging others, and, like, you're being mean.
But the law didn't say exactly not to judge, but the law said what? To love your neighbor as yourself. I would not judge myself. I wouldn't be harsh on myself. I wouldn't call myself bad names. But if I don't want to do this with myself and I do it to the other, I'm breaking the law of God. He said, love your neighbor as yourself. So if I do this with the others and I say, the law of God is wrong, is evil, I'm going to make my own law. That goes back again to being proud. So don't judge others. And this includes the gossiping that we talked about in chapter 3. The gossiping goes under this too. Okay? Now, in verse 12, Joya.
There is one lawgiver who is able to save and destroy. Who are you to judge another?
Who are you? What do you think of yourself? Who do you think yourself as? Again, he's talking in this chapter all about pride. When people speak with the tone of judging, like judged. Okay, Sarah? Now he's going to move. Another sign of pride. We're going to talk about the signs of pride when we finish. Okay.
Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such.
This is an important point. In Egypt, we grew up in the church, paying very much attention to this point. I'm going to tell you how. Okay, go ahead.
Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will go to such and such a city, spend a year there, buy and sell, and make a profit.
Continue.
Whereas you do not know what will happen tomorrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away.
Okay. What is he going to say? Next, 15.
Instead, you ought to say, the Lord will, he shall live, and do this or that. But now you boast in your
Arrogance. Arrogance is another word for pride, right? To be arrogant is to be proud. Next.
all such boasting is evil. Therefore, to him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin.
To him, and so that's the last one I want to remember. To him who knows to do good and doesn't do it, to him it is sin. Wow. He's adding to my list of commandments one more. I go and really examine myself. You all had the book of self-examination. You've tried it before. How to examine yourself against the commandment. So the law, the Ten Commandments says what? Love the Lord your God, which is me, which is the first four. Have no other gods, no images to worship. The name of the Lord, the day of the Lord. Honor your father and mother. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not lie. And do not covet. And we said the new commandment says, love one another as I have loved you. We said love is kind and gentle. Love does not envy, does not boast, does not parade itself. He's adding to me one more. What does it say? To him who knows, or her, to do good, and they don't do it, it's a sin. When you have a chance to do good, and you get lazy, or some other reason, say, nah, I'm not gonna do it. That's a sin that we need to confess about. This is called the sin of omission. It's passive. You have a chance to serve. You have a chance to give mercy. You have a chance to extend the hand. You have a chance to defend somebody. You have a chance to obey. You have a chance to relieve your mother or father from their labor. You have a chance to be merciful to an animal, but you don't do it. That is a sin that we need to confess about as well. All right. Now, I'm going to be done with this verse, the chapter, but I think I want you to go back and tell me. We did find the chapter title for the chapter. What's that? Pride. Right? Arrogance. I want you to tell me about the different aspects or manifestations or presentations of pride in this chapter. List them for me, please. 1. What's the first manifestation of pride that he mentioned in chapter 4? So if I'm going to give a title to this chapter, it's pride. What is the first one? Go look at manifestation of pride. Manifestation of pride. How does pride show itself? The first manifestation of pride is, look at your chapter, read it from the beginning quickly. Lust. Actually, it's not lust itself, it's living in lust. Adultery, right? Next one, that's the first manifestation. Because that's what he said. After he talked about adulteresses, he said, God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. Then what else? What's the other one? The second one. It's a subtle one. How does pride, yes?
Murder.
He didn't talk about murder here, did he? Where? It's what?
It's in the same verse.
This is...
You murder and covet and cannot.
Yes, murder. Very good. So love, lust, and murder with that. Why do you become again? What's the common factor between two? What happens when a man and a woman meet in dark and they have a sexual relationship? What happens after that? Yes. She gets pregnant. And then what would they need to do? So that lust would lead to abortion, murder, right? Right? That relationship that was meant for marriage and having a family, it turns into adultery and murder. So that's again very good. What else? What is another manifestation of pride? Asking and not receiving. No, I'm talking about how pride manifests itself. How would it show itself? Yes? Huh? Well, that's what we said last. Yes?
When you're not a doer of the law, so you're basically making the law on your own.
So you're very close. What did he say in this chapter that belongs to this? Temptation? No, and in that, look at the chapter. So he said something about worldly laughter. You see a group of people joking around and laughing, very proud. They don't have the fear of God. They're just using bad words, bad themes and gestures, and they laugh as if they have no control. And they want to laugh just for laughing, and that's it. They're not careful that what they say and what they do is actually being judged. They laugh and they enjoy that laughter as if there's no God. You understand what I mean by that? Like there's nothing on top of them that actually watches them. That's it. Worldly laughter, uncontrolled fun. That's what people call today. Let's have some fun. Next, 3. Because that's what he said. Lament, mourn, and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning and your joy to gloom. Okay, what's number 3? What's next? Coming next. How about verse 11? A manifestation of pride. Yes.
Not think evil of one another.
Yes. That's like what we call judging. Judging other. Number 4. That's the one that's my favorite. Number 4 starts in verse 13. Yes, Sarah.
Speaking evil.
Speaking evil, that's the judging others. Speaking evil of others, that's true. And number 4, and the last one in the chapter. Yes. Thinking about the future with assurance. Like, I'm sure I'm going to that city, maybe tomorrow, maybe after tomorrow. I'll do this. Maybe next year I'll be there. I'll go and spend the time in Egypt. I'll buy and sell some stuff. I'll make like a fortune. Let's make plans. What I'm going to do with the profit. What they're missing here is, it's actually a word, but it means a lot. That's what we say in Egypt all the time. All the time. Everybody says it without even knowing. Yes?
Prophet.
No?
God willing.
God willing. Inshallah. What does it mean if God wills it? It means it's not in my control. It is actually in the control of God. Maybe I'll die. He says your life is like vapor. You know how you watch the cup of tea or coffee when it's hot and you have vapor coming out of it? How long does it stay? Maybe 40 seconds. Maybe a minute. And after that, maybe it stays hot for a little bit, but the vapor itself will, you'll not see it again anymore. Now you see it, in a minute you're not going to see it. So he says, your life, this is what we call false assurance. And there's another word for it, is presumption. If you want to write a good word, presumptuousness. Presumptuousness. What does presumptuous mean? What does it mean to be presumptuous? What does that word mean? Yes?
So you be confident what you're doing. This is gonna happen.
Yes. To be overly confident in your own self. To be overly confident in your own self. How about we can ask Paul to look it up in the dictionary online? Presumptuousness. So the 4 manifestations until he finds it out. 4 manifestations of pride. Again, what? Living in sin, right? And lust and murder. Number 2, uncontrolled fun. Judging others, speaking evil of others. And then false assurance. And the best cure to this, whenever you say something is going to happen in the future, what do you say after it? God willing. God willing, we go there and do it. God's willing. You know? Yes, go ahead.
My reception in this room is bad, so it's.
It says failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or appropriate.
Say it again.
Failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or appropriate.
Failing to observe. Like, I'm not really watching out what I'm saying. Like, maybe what I'm saying is actually beyond my assurance. This is false assurance, presumptuousness. I'm presuming. But actually it is false assumption because I don't know. My life is like what? A vapor. What happens? How many people die young? How many kids gets in car accidents and get killed? Or how many young adults, get cancer and die? How many? A lot. So am I sure of what's going to happen next year? Any one of us? We might be here, we might not be here. So when I say, for sure, I'm going to this place, I'm going to do that, this is part of what? The sin of pride. So the 4 manifestation again, I want you to remember, living in lust and murder, worldly laughter and controlled fun, judging others, speaking evil of others, false assurance and presumptuousness. Okay, and the verses we talk about here is a lot of verses about humility. God resists the proud but gives grace to the humble. This is actually from the Old Testament. And the one that I love the most is humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord and he will lift you up. And one last bonus verse that we want to remember, to judge myself by, is to him who knows to do good but doesn't do it, to him it is a sin. Okay, any questions?